Uh-huh.
Hello,
Oh, hello.
you okay?
I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, not too bad. And we have Eric as well. I think it may just be us three for now. The other
Yeah.
two, uh, the other two said that they will try and join. That's Javier and David if they get a chance. Eric, how's things?
Yeah. Hello.
All good?
Uh, yes, I will try to listen to to the meeting. I may be doing other things at the same time. Sorry.
Okay, okay. No problem. We'll do what we can then.
Okay.
Yep. Let's go through this then. So we wanted to look at this discussion about what we've been discussing over the last couple of meetings with the SALT formulas team. Daniel, have you had a chance to look at this discussion?
Um, just a little.
Just a little. Okay, so let's just try and pull out some bits that we should have a little chat about. So, the centralized versus decentralized approach that we're considering at the moment. So, centralized would be um, having everything within just one organization, putting everything together into our SALSAT formulas. And that would currently mean no metrics about downloads or formula maturity. Downloads, maybe not. Forks, you would get an idea, I think. It's not the best metrics, but it gives an idea of people are using the formula or not. Um,
Yes. What
oh, you're
I
here, yeah?
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just to say this is the what we currently have. It doesn't mean we can't have something better with metrics, and it's just the state of what we are currently doing. Just to give some precision about
Yeah.
nothing. Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So, in terms of metrics, there's been a few ideas that I've heard mentioned, from different angles. One was having, a proper, some sort of Python-based site, maybe a Django-based site or something, which would actually, use the GitHub API and pull in various metrics about the formulas. Uh, there was another suggestion using a static site as well. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but that could be something for the future if we ever got there. But yeah, okay, so that's metrics anyway. Only one formula exists for each piece of technology. In fact, there was just a conversation now in general in Slack, and again, formulas were being discussed, and there were different angles. And one common point that keeps coming up is um, formulas try to do too much, meaning support every platforms and worry about all types of configuration, maybe configuring things that they shouldn't. So, for example, a formula that does, I'm trying to think, like Django would try to configure Nginx and would try to configure, or even Apache, or some other things as well, like Postgres as well. So it's this thing about sometimes people think some of the formulas try to do too many things. So just while we're talking about this, is having only one formula normally means that formula can end up becoming quite rich and having many features and functions. But the pros here: simple for new users, no need to compare, just pick one. And the cons against that is that they tend to grow and become difficult to maintain and evolve, as you've mentioned here. So the alternative to this, having multiple formulas for the same thing, has its own advantages, which I think are lower down anyway. So we'll come to that. In this org, a group people have the power permission to maintain. It means merge code, but also configure CI accept new members. And that's point one over here. Different level permissions exist, but ideas stay the same. I've got something about this a bit later today in the meeting about having other people to help out, and how to get them those permissions to do so without them necessarily being members of the team. But we can discuss that in a little bit. Most of the working group work has been done on meta things. Yep, that's correct. Some formulas feel a little bit abandoned in terms of functionality, and the work group has only limited workforce. True. We are starting to use code owners' GitHub functionality. Okay, and the decentralized, like these examples given, how to find them. The entry point is a website which references all existing code. Code can be stored everywhere, and the website provides metrics, as you mentioned, right? Multiple formulas for the same software. Each formula is maintained by its owner, which implements what he or she wants. Yep. As I think I've mentioned before, I do wonder about how many of our formulas are very well maintained. Some of them are, maybe almost not complete, but I think that's been mentioned before, that they are feature rich. They do everything you need, maybe doesn't need much maintenance. But in terms of keeping up to date and regular contributions, I wonder how many of our formulas are actually reaching that level at the moment. Someone about to say something? No? And the against is that new users, they need to compare them, metrics and rating help, and docs too. No group of super maintainers, and the best practice improvement come from community blog posts. Not fully decentralized because website itself and tools are managed by the company behind the product. I'm not sure, did you mention, I mean, the initial idea, if we're talking about SART formulas, would be just to have, without an extra entry point, it would just be having the formulas in the repo, in the organization alongside the formulas that already exist. Is that mentioned here somewhere? Did I miss that point?
No, I don't think so. I just listed what I know, what we do now, and what I know about alternatives, not about what we can do. But from my point of view, it's difficult to have 3 Nginx formulas if we have no way to compare them with a dedicated website. It could be difficult.
And doing this dedicated website, what would you suggest? Would it be just a static site? Would that be simple enough, or would it be something a bit more with the database, database driven?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we can. It can be simple to start. Just like you said, something with access to the GitHub API to have just the downloads. It can be interesting if it's possible, and maybe it can grow to have ratings. But at first, it may be just. But if the website is just a reference to 3 Nginx formulas and no way to compare them, it don't add useful information, I think.
Yeah. Any other comments about that from whoever else is in the meeting?
No.
Just if you look at, or one thing I've seen recently is that GitHub have a marketplace for GitHub Actions.
Right.
The different components you can use in your own actions, and one of the ratings thing that they use is just the stars on a repo, which is obviously a very simple.
Whoops.
Yeah, in fact, I don't use it, but it can be a way to.
So let's say, for example, we're looking for.
Yeah, if you look on the left there, actions.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Actions. Yeah. And then
So
you're looking at, you're using the stars. Yeah. Or is it a bit more?
It's a very simple metric.
Just using the stars.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at the very minimum. I mean, obviously, I think somebody would choose the action with the most stars, at least first, I would imagine.
Yeah. So that we obviously we have that with our repos anyway. We have the stars available. So if there were multiple formulas, the stars would be there as a comparison. And there are filters here, some filters. Yep, got the idea. So that's something that's as it could be considered. Does our organization already have that ability to search by that? Where was it? So if I was to look at, no, it doesn't have stars here, I don't think. Or wait a second, I'm looking at the wrong thing here.
I mean, that marketplace thing is like an extra layer on top, I would say.
Yeah. So there's no way to sort these, is there? Beyond the way it's already sorted. Is there? No?
Not as far as I know.
Yeah. Okay. So just trying to, again, just pull out some bits here if I can. We're currently obviously using the centralized, and Eric suggesting decentralized as one he likes. Any particular preferences from yourselves, Daniel, David? Centralized, decentralized, anyone that's grabbing you at the moment?
Well, I think, I mean, I've suggested decentralized myself a few times, not in any kind of formal way, but my tendency is towards the decentralized, mainly because some of the formulas that I've written over the last year or so are almost, I can see them being too specialized to be really of worth to other people, but that I still want to follow best practice. And I would have no problem with my formulas kind of being listed in some kind of directory like we've looked at. And yeah, if people did actually find them useful, then great. But also, people could look at them, get some ideas about them as well. But there's something, the impression I get is there's something about this current method of working which doesn't seem sustainable to me.
Yeah.
It's like, what have we, we've got 300 odd formulas, and people write a formula. Okay, it's not quite as bad these days because we've got code owners, but there's this kind of feeling that people can write a formula and then just assign it to the organization, and the organization will somehow magically maintain it forevermore, and it's just not sustainable.
Yeah. You drop the formula to the organization, but yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, actually, the code owners itself, I was going to say, I've noticed it's not working as well as I'd hope, because there are, I mean, not saying not everyone's doing it, and some people are following through, but some people are code owners for a repo, and a PR will come in, an issue will come in, and there's no response for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So I'm not sure that's going to work for us either. And just taking these links that Eric's given us. So having something like this where there are probably multiple versions of each. So there's a Postgres over here and there's a Postgres down here, and you can sort it by whether it's downloads or score or whatever else. Score actually doesn't seem to have doesn't seem to have a score. It has a downloads.
No.
Oh,
and last uploaded too.
Yeah, last uploaded, which might be a useful metric. Although it's not there.
No.
It's not there. It should be there, but it's not. Most recent, it should be.
Well, the information is there in the list, but yeah, you can't sort by it.
Yeah. But
I don't know what the score is. I think for Puppet, the score was, does it have a documentation and things like that? So, and people can vote too.
Yeah. And how do you find this? Do you think this is the right way to sort of go about it?
Yeah, I tend to think the decentralized approach is more like open source, is more compatible with the way we work on the open source.
And I think that
So
the person who's maintaining their own version of it will keep it updated if they want to, if they feel
Yes.
there's a benefit, and that's what we really want, is people to maintain their own things, really.
yeah.
So there's a
But
latest.
if you want to have your own version, very limited, which does one thing and 10 people use it, you can. You still can, but it will not be the most used. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no. I mean, the centralized was the way we found things, or the way at least I found things when I first started helping out with the organization. Was, let's keep things together like that. But I've got no qualms at all if we want to move towards something like this, where you have that ability to let people just actually maintain the formula, or even the formulas that go in there that are not being maintained, they won't get used in the end, and that's fine as well. And we don't have to force. Yeah, like you said, this is about sustainability. And does Chef have something like this as well, or is it just these two?
And Chef, yeah, I don't know that much, so
Okay.
I don't know how it uses it. I think it got something like that.
Chef, I have come across. There's an unofficial
Do you have no
website.
supermarket?
Cookbooks.
Chef
Cookbooks.
Cookbooks
No,
or
well,
Chef
cookbooks is
cookbooks.
the
Cookbooks.
Resource supermarket, yes.
Chef supermarket. Yeah, I thought.
yeah. But that looks official. I think there's an unofficial one as well,
The public.
which I've come across.
Oh, there's an unofficial one as well. Yeah. So.
No, I think it's the official one, no?
Yeah, I'm just saying there is actually a separate one, which I can't remember the name of off the top of my head.
Okay, but this is the actual official one. It's got their cookbooks in there, almost 4,000. Doesn't seem to have as much to. Okay, let's try again. Let's see what we get. Yeah, there's 50 that are related to. But what can you sort by? Just
I
recently
think
updated.
it's called Sous Chef.
How do you spell Sous?
SOUS. So it's a French word.
SOUS. What is it? One word or is it 2 words?
2 words. Yeah, no, that's a cooking.
Sorry, I just picked the first one.
Add Gitto to the end of it, maybe.
Oh, GitHub.
Okay. There's an organization, github.com.
Yeah, there you go.
SOUS. Oh, there you are.
It had an S at the end. Chefs for some reason. Right. Okay.
The link. There is a link at the top.
Okay. Yep. And
okay, it may be like Vox Populi, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. That rings a bell. Yeah.
Which is what
that is for puppets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which Niels mentioned. I mean, it just seems like, I think if you take these three, they're all doing this, and SaltStack's the only one that's not. So it almost seems like we're missing something in a little way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which was actually the original idea behind SPM, was if we could get it working with SPM, then it would be quite easy to put something like this together and have it all generated from the data in the SPM files, which could still be done, I suppose. We could still do something, but it doesn't necessarily install using SPM. How would it install then? That's the thing. So if we had our ones here, how would they then use them?
I think wherever you wherever you install it now is the same. If you got a Git repository, it doesn't change where it's located.
So it still just goes back to the Git repository from here, but at least it's a central place to see all the sort of metadata about the formulas available.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think and would those then necessarily have to be under the same organization? Not necessarily, right? Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't stipulate that. No.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going. Yeah, because personally, I could see myself ignoring some of the formulas that we've currently got and making my own sort of subversions of formulas that are more interest, like as in, so I could more rapidly develop them rather than worrying about the whole, because there's stuff that I can't, it's just too much effort to think about all the platforms and stuff. So I would be interested in that as well, definitely. Daniel, centralized, decentralized, any thoughts?
We don't.
No.
We don't, Daniel.
Sorry?
I don't hear him.
Maybe microphone issues. Okay, and then.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There was a button on my mic.
Okay.
Yeah. So I prefer personally the decentralized version for people to be able to host their own formula wherever they want.
Yep.
We need something for users to compare and to quickly have an idea of which one they need or which one will be useful for them, like we see in Vox Populi or the different supermarkets in Chef, etc.
Yep.
And the only thing I'm wondering is about propagation of best practice. We need today we have SSF formula to automate some things, but we'll need some work in the human community to spread, to document, to make some documentation about changes, how to implement some new best practices, etc., etc. For example, the V5 map Jinja require to split the OS whatever map.yaml in subdirectories. We need to explain things like that, etc., etc. So instead of having a challenge in writing some automation, we have a challenge about human communication.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's quite complicated because this community doesn't exist except on. I feel that it doesn't exist in the open, in blog post, or maybe Slack. It's a good place, maybe not. I don't know, but there is no. There's not a lot of literature or blog posts about SALT or best practices. And I feel this point will be, I don't know how to create this.
I think we could do something like the Salt Formula work group. The other guys, they have quite lots of documentation about how to start a new formula, etc., etc. in their organization. I think we should have something like this.
My little take on it is that the formulas underneath our organization will still obviously be there, and those ones can still benefit from something like the SSF, and that will still be being spread within that community, so people can see, oh, there are interesting sort of things there that we might want to grab. And like you said, documentation would be very helpful as well, of course, but we can still keep the benefit of that. But where people want to provide formulas that don't use those, I don't think we're going to be able to enforce that, or even we can encourage, but they'll probably end up doing their own thing anyway. And that's okay at the end of the day. It's ultimately people, that's the freedom that they'll have, is to keep things as simple as they want.
Yes, I completely agree. I don't want to force people or things like that. I just want to make sure that we can explain the benefits of this approach or this best practice.
Yeah, hopefully by us spreading it, because if we see, the idea is the verifier. I've already got the verifier working with the SSF. I just had a problem with Travis over the last month it's really been poor performance. So I haven't been able to finalize the testing the way I wanted. But get the verifier in there in the SSF, and then get, for example, the map Ginger in there as well. So what's happening is at the core of the formulas that we have will all have that similar structure that will be going across to this new decentralized approach that we might be using in, say, a few months' time or whenever. And that way people would still be able to see in practice what's been done. So that may be the best example of it. And then they can refer to any documentation that we ever get around to making. But yeah, that'll be tricky. It'll be tricky to convince, but it'll be there in practice, and people hopefully can see it from the formulas that are coming from our organization. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it'd be tricky to convince, because I think a lot of people are starting from the template formula currently. I think rather than being difficult to convince, it just needs to be more user friendly, I think.
Yeah, I just saw a discussion in the general channel in Slack just before this meeting, and a few people were talking, and they was just saying that don't understand what's in the formula at all. It's like there's so much going on that they don't get it. Obviously, we know that as well because we've spoken about that. We've added all these features which are useful, but until we have proper documentation, people aren't going to understand what's going on or how to use it. So there was the libtofs came up, and it's like, don't know what this is even doing, have no idea. And I understand that because, when I first saw it, before I got involved in some of the development, and I think some of us still, I've noticed in our working group meetings, there is still a lack of understanding of how it works. In fact, I think it's only myself and Daniel who probably really understand what's going on there. And I understand that because we've committed time to it to figure it out. But others who are looking at it from the outside completely and they don't know about it at all, they're like, what's that? And why would I want to use that? And that's with documentation, because the documentation is available in each repo. So yes, I think there's a few barriers to entry here, but ultimately we're all agreeing here. We're all saying that overall the decentralized approach seems the right way to go forward, and hopefully the best practices will rise to the top, in the sense that they'll see the benefits of these things that we've implemented, and they'll pull them into their formulas as well, whoever's sharing their formulas out there.
Agreed.
Yep. So Noel's also mentioned decentralized here, and he's given a really long discussion. I've read all this, and there's some good stuff in here. I'm particularly, have you gone through this?
Not completely.
No, I just had a little look around, and I was quite interested to see where he was taking it. A couple of queries I had about it, which I'll probably go back to Noel about rather than mention here. But it was just interesting the way he was trying to link everything together. So that's something to maybe refer back to. I can't go through all that. And then we haven't seen Niels for a while. It was good to see him, that he's come back here to give us a few ideas. I didn't get a chance to read this in proper detail. Did anyone go through this comment?
No.
No.
Okay, let's have a quick blast, because he's got a lot of experience, and it's worth looking at what he's got to say. Was create formulas because there wasn't any before, and so he's giving a history here, keeping it dry. Okay, SART formulas went to reclass, right? Okay, so SART formulas went to reclass. That's what their system they chose, and we went to the pillar and map Ginger solution for the same problem, because all these new bits and pieces were coming along. These options here. Both organizations have the underlying idea of having one formula to do one thing the best. Having more than one formula to manage Nginx and choose which one will work has been held back by both. I'm not sure what that point exactly means. Did you understand it? Did I miss something? No?
Okay.
I think it's having several formula to do the same thing was not in our idea and the sole formula idea.
Yeah, at least initially.
We reject both that way of doing things.
Yeah. Where it's like anyway. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the grok this as quickly as I can. This is where I think, because Saltstack code is so malleable, because when it gets animated, it's just data, right? If I would like to see this going forward and see the reason behind the merger of the two, I would like the community and the working group to see example how Vox Populi is handling this. So this is what he's mentioning, that he's involved in this, and they've been working together to curate the formulas, or whatever they call them there in Puppet.
I think it's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you looked into this a bit?
I know it from before. It's just a group of people maintaining together a group of modules for Puppet.
Okay.
It's like we are doing, except in the organization we tend to think we need to integrate other code and every new code, but maybe we should transform in something like more decentralized, and the working group, or a bigger working group, will be like Vox Populi, maintaining a limited list of modules. I think that's what I understood from its comment.
In a way, though, I mean, we've been quite open to having more people join the working group, but it just doesn't seem to be that we have the people there. I mean, they've got,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how many of those 100 are active, but they've got a larger number of collaborators, so they can actually do that. Whereas we're lacking those collaborators. So, you know, maybe we can still do something like this in the future, where you still have the area where everyone can upload their formulas, but because the Saltstack Formulas organization will still exist, we can maybe think about this in the much longer term about, could we do something like this for the formulas that we are maintaining?
My point of view in this is like the political. I don't think it's political. It's a good way to tell it.
Yeah.
I think the difference in Puppet, Ansible, is like the company behind market, sell, advertise the use of these formulas. Saltstack is not that clear if it tells people to use formulas, and if it push to their use, and it don't give the working group, I don't know, a working force to put this website in place to advance the development of SPM. Puppet is in the official documentation. The models are approved. Some are created by Puppet. Ansible also is in the official documentation. I think the difference it's one of the reasons we have less collaborators, we have less tools, and do you understand what I mean about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm understanding. So is this particular organization like officially with Puppet, basically, or?
I don't know if this specific organization is officially Puppet members.
It says no official. Is it? Yeah.
No official, but
Yeah, no,
I mean,
yeah.
the use of modules inside Puppet is official. Is the way to use Puppet.
Right. I got you. So it kind of makes it easier for them to do this because it's officially supported all the way through, effectively.
Yes. So most people use it. So most contributors exist. So that's right. In Salt, it's not that clear if the company Saltstack tell people to use formulas, or if they tell them to develop their own on their own code.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the documentation still has the messages to try to use and support the Saltstack Formulas organization, but the general chat that you'll see in the community will be, use the formulas as a reference, get your ideas, and make your own formulas from there.
Yes,
that's what I've seen is the general view of this. So again, that kind of, for me, leads towards decentralization again, and these ideas that we're talking about, because it'll just make it easier and freer for people to do what they want to do with the formulas. But yep, so they're in the same boat and they keep single module of why is that most software managing the configuration tool is built for all different options. So the differences might be packages named and not config files. If the formula installs and configures the software based upon what the builders of software envision, it should work on all supported operating system and particular software. Okay, so he's supporting the centralized, it seems here, isn't it? Or,
Not
yeah.
decentralized. He's supporting the not different formula for the same thing.
he's not supporting that. He's supporting keep one formula for
Yeah.
one thing, right? Yeah. Okay, no, that's good to have that. Sorry?
So I'm just mumbling here, sorry.
Yeah. It seems like he's saying just try to keep one formula for one thing, and it makes it and it should really be able to handle that, because ultimately the people packaging the formulas for the various platforms try to keep things somewhat, somewhat sane, in the sense that there should be similarities throughout. But it's good. It's good that we have that alternate view to consider. But it seems like generally the view is this decentralization is probably going to be the way forward. And if I'm understanding us correctly, we're saying if we did that, we don't necessarily have to merge the two organizations. We can just provide this decentralized approach, and people can keep the formulas wherever they like. And it doesn't need to be in any one organization anymore. Correct?
Yes, I think
Yes.
the middle term is maybe to transform the working group in Vox Populi. I didn't thought about that before, but it's a comment of Noel, and I think it's a good idea. We are a group of people with we try to implement some best practices, and we maintain a set of formulas, maybe less than actually, but maybe but the access to formula could be decentralized, and so we don't merge with the SALT formulas organization.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's the path to go there.
Yeah. If that other approach is made available, then they wouldn't have any real need to have to maybe merge with us. If there is that entry point where there's a separate website for that for everybody, if you like, I then don't see there's a fear or a concern anymore. Or maybe I don't fully understand the situation.
Yeah. The problem is we can't use a static website for that. You need to be able to register your new code.
Yep. Oh, there were yeah. There are various ideas out there. We can discuss them in the future as we go, but at least we've got a good idea. We've gone through this discussion and we've got general feedback about how we're all feeling. So we can move forward from here, hopefully in this discussion, or at least in the next meeting, and work out where we're going more specifically. But okay, great. So we've covered this point over here. Let's quickly touch upon this, if you don't mind. This was something that we, it's not very easy to read here. I've actually put it into Vim to make it a bit easier to read. In fact, you know what? Maybe even this isn't easy to read. The idea is that there are certain formulas that don't work by default. This is Eric was making this point. If you run them without a pillar, they'll just crash or have some sort of error. And it's good to maybe mention that, using a UX tag for formulas and tagging them. Am I catching all the points, or am I missing something, Eric?
No, that's right. I opened a new one for Backup Ninja. Yeah,
I've got that as well there. So it's just to make it so that when someone new uses the formula, they don't start getting all these errors the very first thing because they don't have a pillar, for example. Or are we expecting people to have a default blank pillar at least at the starting point? Should formulas work without a pillar?
Yes.
They should, right? Just out of the box.
It's my opinion.
Yep. So that's the thing then, is to just be able to capture that. So that was one of the ideas was, and while we were having that discussion, it's like, how do we keep our labels across the whole org, in sync? When I was looking into this, I thought this was the answer. But the problem with this is that it's about the repos that are made after the point of actually setting this in your organization. And most of our repos, if not all of them, actually come from outside. So when they get merged into, or when they get forked or transferred into the org, they're not affected by this feature over here. So what the recommended way is to use this settings GitHub app to do things like this, where you can actually set common labels across all of the formulas or all your repos. The problem with this is it's a bit of a dangerous one, because it can also maintain things like the collaborators for an org, and the minute you give someone push permissions in the collaborators, so let's say at the moment most people only have write permissions on each formula, and no one has the admin permissions. But the minute you give them this file in the repo, in each formula's repo, and they change that to admin rights, they can automatically push and give themselves admin rights for that for that formula. Do you sort of understand?
Yes.
So there's a risk involved in using this particular method, but this method would solve our problem of being able to have common features across all of our repos. So the question I was going to ask, there is one other option. And then it would lead to this issue where we're having complaints about, sometimes people being pinged when they don't want to be pinged, when, if you ever use SaltStack formulas contributors and they're only interested in maybe being part of certain formulas. If we had this, for example, you could use the collaborators section to, formula by formula, you could control who has access to those formulas. But like I said, there's that risk of someone giving themselves admin permissions, and then they can lock other people out of the formula. I mean, that's if there was a person that way inclined. So should we use something like this settings app to be able to make, more common labels and to make it easier to allocate collaborators to certain formulas?
For me, if it's only for labels, it's not a problem to add it in the repo when you need it. Manually, even manually. It's not that
when
much.
you need it. When you need it, just do it.
When you need it.
Anyone else? Is this a major risk, do you think, where there's that risk of someone giving themselves a certain permission?
I think it's
something to maybe think about, as in just on the labels thing, like Eric said, we all have the permissions to add labels at each repo level. So I don't think it would really affect us if it's just labels. But I was actually thinking about this problem as well, which was finding a way to allocate contributors to specific repos and then removing or at least reducing this group over here to people who aren't bothered about being pinged within that group of contributors. This actually could be done from the SSF, to be honest with you. It's all just API stuff. It's just that I'm not interested in doing it right now because it'd be a lot of effort for not very much. But I'm just asking if this is available and this is the suggested way to use it. Should we do this? Or maybe just take it slow and not worry about it right now? It's not a big deal. No problem. We can talk about this another time. I thought I'd just raise it at least today, and we can go on to the next point because there's a few more points to try and cover for this meeting. This issue came up in the main SaltStack repo, and I was pinged for it. So just want to get your feedback on it. So someone here was asking for a SaltStack formula to be created for something, for this specific driver installation, and they passed it through to me. And they were asking, where should these sorts of feature requests actually go? So I was explaining we don't have anywhere for this really. Could use a template formula or when people have a request or something, but we have this working group repo as well that isn't doing very much. We could direct people. I mean, I don't know where we'd even direct them from, but we could direct them to add their issues in here instead. Anything to do with formulas should go into there, or should it just be the template formula, which is what we're all used to? It's one of these two places I was thinking.
Mm,
Do you get the
yeah.
point? So if someone's
Yeah.
got a question more generically, sort of a general question about formulas, where should that question go? Should it go into the template formula or the working group?
I would say working group.
So
Yeah,
we need
me
to
too.
advertise. We need to advertise this somehow. This particular repo, or maybe we
Mhm.
should pin this one as well. I'm not sure. It's not got anything in there, and it's obviously needs a bit of sprucing up at the beginning. But anyway, I was sort of saying, I mean, receiving requests to write formulas is not something we're really used to doing, or could even do, because having the right setup and all the rest of it, it's just not going to happen really. So I just advise to come down and chat to any of us in Slack or whatnot, and we can maybe try to help someone out when they're writing a formula. But okay, so working group, perhaps, is that the idea? Is try to route these sort of questions there?
Yeah.
I would say so.
Okay, so we just need to advertise that, maybe clean that up at some point to get that working. So that's that issue. This is now becoming a bigger issue. It's been mentioned before, but it's actually, yeah, go on.
No, just I was thinking that working group repo is in Solstack Formulas organization. I'm pretty sure, isn't there a working group section for in the main Salt
There is.
organization?
There is, absolutely is, but we're not using our side at all there.
No, I'm just thinking.
Where's community? I think it's under. It'll be under community, I believe. Community working groups. So you're thinking that's another place?
Well, I'm just thinking.
Look, we're not even there.
Well, we're not even there, so.
We're supposed to be there. We were asked
Yeah.
to like provide something here, but because we already had all of our stuff elsewhere, it didn't seem worth doing that. And I don't know
Well,
if
it could be. It would be. I didn't know about that working group repository. So, I mean, we could easily put a pointer from one to the other.
Yeah, I think we
from the
can
main
just.
Salt to here. But yeah, I mean, maybe even we should link in this. I mean, one thing we can put there is a link to the meeting recordings every month, every 2 weeks.
Yeah, sure. That would be good as well. And I mean, we never get round to doing the minutes, but as you said, the formula, the videos would be good to have in here somewhere. Definitely. We can clean this repo up if we need to, I think. And I think this should be the sort of place for those types of requests. General requests about Saltstack formula should go in here, I suppose, rather than muddying the template formula, because that's not really the right place for it. So I think we're good there. This issue is the original understanding, because the template, sorry, this stands for template, doesn't it? The template, the variable was being used before I came along. And the way I've understood it was it's there to make the formulas portable. So people could have their formulas in any level in their file systems. Now, there was a longer discussion here about this, about not being able to use these in template files and all sorts of things. And Max went through a lot of different combinations of things, because we had a conversation a while back about all this, and was trying to understand how tuple root mixes in with all this. And the problem with tuple root is, as he shows over here, is if someone doesn't use the normal structure of where formulas are supposed to be, or where formulas are documented to be installed. So in the documentation, it says, do it like this. If people do that, then tuple root works fine. But if they put theirs under some subfolders, it doesn't work anymore. So for example, where is it over here? He's shown it. Here you go. One potential workaround is to introduce the tuple root variable. However, if a formula has been located under a number of subdirectories, then the tuple root will point to the first one there. it won't point to template. And some people are doing that out there. So our formulas aren't quite portable at the moment. And the reason why we started using tuple-root instead of tuple-dir was when you're accessing a file that's within a certain number of subdirectories, it's by context, I was trying to explain over here, it doesn't always reference the same directory depending on context, whereas tuple-root would always at least pick what would normally be the top directory. So it would always work in that case, but this doesn't take into account someone using subdirectories before that point. Do you understand the rough, vague? Now, I messed around a few months back and I've lost it. I don't know what I did with it. I messed around with a set command, what's the word I'm looking for? Setting a variable over here, which would actually work its way backwards through from wherever this file is and looks for map ginger. And that was the one sort of single point of reference that I thought would always be in basically tuple-root. Is that, do you understand my idea? So, because we don't know where someone has installed their formula, we want to go back through the subdirectories until we find map ginger, because wherever map ginger is, that's the tuple-root. Is that a correct assumption or not?
Actually,
was the... Oh, sorry. Continue.
okay. Actually, for the bug in the first tab you have, I just put a little comment, and the person reporting that bug, he's importing the Apache map ginger from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And in fact, in Apache map ginger, the TPLD is not the Apache one.
Yeah, it's something else. Yeah, I can't see it, but I did notice it before. But that's the thing, is we can't force people to use that structure. That's the default structure. That's the one that's in the documentation, and that generally you would all agree to. But if someone does want to use subdirectories, and I did come across another person, so Max has only given an example of blah blah blah, but someone I spoke to once, they gave a specific directory structure here that they had for their formulas, and they wanted to put one of the formulas from our organization at the 4th level here somewhere, and they said tuple-root isn't working for me because it only ever pulls the very first directory.
We should be careful with that, because the TPL root calculation with your proposal of looking up directories from where I am to up directories, etc., to parent, from parent to parents, can be quite costly.
So this is it then. How do you, I mean, it's almost impossible to work out every situation and how you solve this.
I don't know this bug report, so I will look at it later. But I was going to ask what's the use case, but as I understand what's the use case, I think I have it in my code. I mean, in another formula, I have from collectd map.ginger import. That is the use case. You have a code and you import another map ginger from another formula, or is it more complicated?
Yeah, that's the bug report. Yes.
Okay. Oh, I use it a lot. Okay. Okay, I will look at it later.
Yeah, there's multiple ways you can get caught by this bug. I mean, Javier found one a little while, just I think yesterday or the day before, and he's got it in the formulas channel. And what it was is, when you have an SLS file, a state file inside the test directory, so test salt something, and that one there can't use tuple-root either, because again, the reference is pointing to something else. I didn't check it, but the reference is not pointing to the formula's main directory. So there's a few use cases where tuple-root will not work, and we're going to have to think about something that's more solid and that actually works in all situations. But like Daniel's saying, it may end up proving much more costly. Unless we just use relative references everywhere. I think you can do that now. Just using, but I don't know if relative references work depending on context. This is the problem. There's so many ways formulas can be accessed and templates can be accessed that it just seems that you can't cover all bases.
And salt SSH.
Yeah, that's another aspect as well. So it's just becoming quite difficult to find one that works for everybody.
Yes.
This seemed like it was working for everyone, but there are use cases where it won't work. Okay, we can't make a decision right now, but it's just to raise the issue that we have a problem with tuple-root. And so my question actually was, the only question I was really asking is, would it be a solution to track back through the directories for map.ginger and use that as tuple-root? Even if it's a bit expensive, would that work? Or am I missing something?
I think
you should to put a -1, no, instead of 0. Does it work?
No, because if you've got a file underneath multiple direct, like you're using the sub components, it'll only pick. It won't necessarily. Actually, I don't know. Would it? I'm trying to think of the subdirectories. It may not work for all use cases. Would it work?
Okay.
Can anyone think of the top of their head if that would help it or work? We can try it out. We can try it out. But I feel like there'll be so many use cases that we need to have those set up and then try our ideas compared to that setup to figure out what we're going to do here, because we're using that quite heavily now. And if that's not accurate or it's not always going to work, I mean, it's working when you set things up in the normal expected way. It's not a problem then. But as soon as you step out of that and you go to do something else, it's going to break down. What was the other issues here? So, yep. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, so just a couple more small things. Travis has been giving me a lot of pain recently. Has anyone else noticed that, or is it just me? I mean, it's this here that I think is the problem, is the backlogs nowadays, every day it's spiking, up to 10,000 jobs sometimes waiting. So when I'm trying to run my tests, usually I get, a test run and it's done within 10 minutes. Sometimes I've been waiting, a couple of hours for just one formula to be tested. Just this is my local side, not the SaltStack formula side, because I don't do my testing on SaltStack formulas organization. I do it for myself. But has anyone else noticed this, or is it just myself going through something?
I mean, I haven't noticed it, but I'm not doing a lot of builds at the moment. But is there a difference between? I know I kind of migrated my personal thing to .com in the last few months.
There may be. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if anyone has any experience with using .com on their own side.
Well, yeah, I have, and it finds they seem to have in doing that transition. They seem to have improved things, like
right.
in the way they use the GitHub API and things like that, finding which repos are yours and all that. It all seems a bit smoother. So.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to try that. I'll have to try that.
An idea, yeah.
The reason why I was saying is because I've been having great fun with GitLab CI. We've got for the image builder, there are I think 80 odd jobs, and they just run so fast. So I knew I'd come across it before that you can use GitLab CI. So what you can do is just set up a formula and have GitLab CI run it instead. Would that be an option worth considering at all? I might do that anyway, just for myself. But I can come back to you guys and let you know how that's working. But
well, if you remember, I've at least one of my formulas runs in GitHub Actions. So
okay,
yeah, there shouldn't be. And the impression I get that Travis is actually kind of lagging behind a bit these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we can make things work where you're not tied to a particular CI, then again, that can only be good, I would imagine.
Would you mind? Is that a private or is it a public repo? The one with the GitHub Actions?
It's public, yeah.
Would you mind just putting that in Slack or something so that?
Yeah, the only thing is I haven't done it for Linux builds yet.
Oh, right, okay.
So far, I've only done it for Windows.
Okay. All right. Anyway, that's just something. So no one else is having a problem with Travis. It just seems like it's me, yeah.
Oh yeah, but only because I haven't been doing a huge amount recently. So.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I don't do that much jobs on Travis.
Okay.
I'm using my own builders.
Using your own, right? Okay. Okay. No, I was just worried because if it's affecting me, I was thinking eventually it's going to start affecting, maybe the whole organization, and then, we're going to have an issue that we're going to have to solve. But like you said, GitHub Actions might be one way out, and I might just try GitLab CI anyway and see how that works out. Briefly, we had this thing about what type of delimiter to use when we're writing our state names, and we've got arguments for and against the slash. I know Nicholas really likes the slashes. Someone else did as well. Someone else really liked the slashes. Was that Javier or was that someone else? Anyone here? Anyone got any particular things about which one to use?
I can see that the slashes is kind of, it conflates two different things.
Yeah, that's what Eric here seems to be mentioning as well. Because I mean, we don't have a standard anymore. We're using whoever gets there first is using whatever they want to use. We don't have a problem with that then? Are we good if we just let people do what they want?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's really a problem, but
If we go in the decentralized work group,
then it doesn't really matter.
In fact, the last two formula I imported in GitHub, the ADI and libpammount, use the slash convention because we are using that convention internally.
And how are you finding that though? Is there a reason why you picked slash?
Yes, because when I have some outputs, I can cut and paste easily to open the files.
Okay.
That's mostly for that.
So when you're dealing with paths, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and I'm doing it a lot actually. So it's not that useful in terms of functionality, but when you start using it quite often, it became really, really cool to have it.
Yeah.
But Inspect does the job. I'm kidding.
Okay, so we're not going to worry about that too much. And there was one last question. Because a lot of us have been busy, and I'm sure we're going to have lots of periods like this. There's quite a few issues and pull requests coming through that aren't being addressed or spoken to. You see the ones with only one person there. Do we have any idea of how we can avoid that, where people are being ignored? I'm just a bit concerned because it's been going on for about a month now, where I think all of us have got very busy and no one even like I said, some of the code owners and stuff, they're not replying. So I just don't feel like it's very nice for the people at the other end, not even to receive an acknowledgement for what they've said or done.
Yeah, I have one from Nginx. I need to. I don't know what's the solution, but yeah.
Yeah, some organizations have got those sort of those files which can sort of share it out, where it just looks at a set of names and it says, okay, let's pick, it balances it out. But I don't know if that's even going to work. Where we just sort of try to get some names or I don't know, what should we have a policy for this? Even just a welcoming message or something from someone just to say, thank you, we'll have a look and see what's going on. Or
okay. Like if you have no answer, come to Slack or come
that's
to
what I was going to say.
Maybe.
Yeah, because we don't have time. I'm not going to go through them, but I just sort of selected a few that I saw that just got ignored completely or nothing. This one wasn't ignored. Sorry, I was just going to say, I think this is ready to go, Eric, but just got a couple of conflicting files here for you. This
I didn't know I had. Oh yeah, okay.
sudo 666, but there's a few others that are ready to go, but we just want to confirm. No time to do this now. But like I said, there are quite a few, and so yeah, what were you going to say, David? Any particular solution?
Well, I think most of it is kind of what am I trying to say? Kind of things being swamped by notifications and then not going back to something. So some form of reminder, or if maybe even in Slack, I don't know if we could, like, periodically, if a message came up in Slack saying like this hasn't been answered in a week or something.
I'll let Eric argue with you here. Eric will have something to say.
What was? Why?
Last time with the template formula notifications, you weren't very happy. Or is this different?
Yeah.
Or maybe not Slack, but
yeah, okay, I remember. I got it. Okay.
You know, is it called Zapier? Is that what it's called? No, Zulip.
Oh, Zulip, yeah. But no one looks at Zulip.
No, well, but maybe we should.
That's one more. That's one more place to look, isn't it? It's.
I don't know. I have the notifications in GitHub. There are. Yeah, I just don't have enough time to do it. It's not a for me. It's not a problem of having the information.
Yeah. It's sad because I've actually sometimes looked at one and I've spent maybe 10 minutes looking at what they've done, and then because I can't finish, I don't actually give any feedback at all sometimes, and it's like, that's no good. Nor have I helped them, nor have I've just wasted 10 minutes of my own time as well looking at something. So I'm not sure what the right thing to do is here. Like, should there just be even just a generic, thank you for your contribution, and if you don't hear from us soon, please ping us in Slack or something. I don't know, something like that.
Well, that's probably the best idea at the moment. Yeah.
So perhaps
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Like some sort of bot or something where we just tell them, look, if you don't hear from us, come here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not too much to ask, is it? It's not like going to disturb us too much, I think, if we had that.
Because if people is really motivated to get them merged, it will come back or it will come discuss. And often I am more reactive on Slack if I'm available at this moment.
Yeah.
Okay. It's of course it's always if, but can be an idea.
Yeah, no, because my concern is sometimes people are putting in a lot of effort. I'm just trying to find one here that I opened, and what's happening is, who did this one? No, this is Javier. 1 second. There was one. Yeah, I think it's this one. This one here, I think I just spent. There's some that are quite large, and someone's put a lot of time in, and they've now submitted it to us. But then there's been no conversation beforehand, and it would have made. This one was one example. It wasn't much effort here in terms. It wasn't a big PR, but if they'd spoken first in Slack, where's the change set? Why can't I find? Oh, this is the issue. Oh, there's another one. The point is, if they'd spoken to us first, we would have been able to give them feedback to save them wasting too much time.
Yes.
And I think I just want to sort of try and direct people to talk to us first, maybe, so they don't spend that time, or they do it within a certain. Anyway, you get the. Okay, we could talk about that in the future. I don't want to take too much more time. We've gone over our time again, but we'll discuss this. I think this is important that we have something there to help new contributors, particularly, because we don't want to lose them when they first come. That's not, we're already complaining we don't have enough contributors, and then we're not helping them when they do come.
Yes.
Yep.
You're right.
All right. Excellent. I think we covered some interesting and important points there. Anything else that anyone wants to raise before we end? No? Good.
No.
All right. Excellent. So we'll catch up in 2 weeks' time, hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Guys. Take care then. Bye.
Cheers.
Ciao.